Hello? Narinig ba ako?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, for lecture 3 is about Darcy's Law. Okay. And this is basically about groundwater flow. Okay. And this is basically a relationship no to relate yung yung quantity ng water na nagfo-flow sa isang area no. So may basically kung gaano karami yung groundwater flow mo related siya sa hydraulic gradient no or basically yung potential mo. So hydraulic gradient is basically your gravitational potential, and then hydraulic conductivity is your the capacity of your soil or rock to transmit water. And what else? Of course, you also have your area of the flow. Okay, and that relationship is expressed by this Darcy's law equation. Q or discharge is basically just proportional no to your K or your hydraulic conductivity no. So it's intuitive naman 'di ba? So mas malaki yung capacity ng material to transmit water, mas marami kang flow. Also yung surface area no na dinadaanan ng tubig no, mas malaki yung surface area, mas marami kang tubig na pwedeng dumaan. Delta H and L, okay? So delta H over L is basically your hydraulic gradient no. So delta H is your hydraulic head loss no. So pag mas malaki yung drop in elevation na nag-i-involve sa flow, mas malaki yung hydraulic head and mas malaki yung potential. So parang kumbaga parang sabik na sabik bumaba yung water pag malaki yung hydraulic head or malaki yung drop in elevation. Conversely, pag mas mahaba yung flow length or yung L, mas mas bumababa yung flow mo. Hello? Okay. Okay, and these are just other forms of Darcy's law. You have your this V, or also called Darcy velocity. Okay. So Darcy velocity yun yung basically yung velocity ng groundwater no as a whole, as a group. Okay? Mamaya makikita niyo yung isa pang velocity sa groundwater flow. Okay? Pero for now, just accept Darcy's Darcy velocity as the group velocity of the water. Okay? So that's just basically sorry. That's just basically proportional again to your hydraulic gradient and your hydraulic head loss. Okay? So basically, Darcy velocity, tanggalin mo lang yung surface area. No? So basically, discharge divided by surface area, you will get your Darcy velocity.
Sir?
Yes?
Yes, sorry po, sir. Hindi po ata nag-change yung slide, sir.
Ganun. Weird. Anong nakikita nyo ngayon?
Yung general PowerPoint lang po, sir.
Talaga? Huh. Kung ano. Wait lang. Okay. And nagbago na ba yung slide?
Yes po, sir. Okay na po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for informing me. Okay. Okay, so yeah, basically discharge divided by surface area, that's just your Darcy velocity. Okay. Okay, para mas ma-visualize nyo yung groundwater flow relative to an aquifer. Okay, so this is a cross-section of an unconfined aquifer. Okay, so ano ba yun? Ito yung water table, no? Ito yung water table, yung dashed line. Okay? So let's say yung flow ng water mo from okay, basically from this point to this point. Okay? So ano ba yung tinitignan natin? First is yung head loss, no? So head loss, ang tinitignan mo lang yung tuktok ng water table. Okay? So dito mas mataas yung water table elevation mo dito sa part na to bumaba na. Okay? So basically yung water mo papunta lang dito sa lower potential. Okay? And then yung flow length is just this part, no? Ito na yung flow length mo. So head loss, ito yung delta H, flow length yung L. And then cross-sectional area depende sa yung cross-sectional area depende kung ano yung minention sa problem, no? Kung sabihin nating may butas lang yung well, may well screen lang, de doon lang yung area mo. Kung ang sinasabi natin sa problem is yung buong aquifer, edi yung buong cross-sectional area ng aquifer. Okay? And ano pa ba? Yung K. Yung K naman is yung hydraulic conductivity. Yun naman yung basically yung property na ng aquifer to transmit water. Okay, hydraulic head. So it's basically your mechanical energy per unit weight of the fluid in the system. Okay. So total hydraulic head at any given point is H is equal to HP plus HZ. So HP is your pressure head due to pore fluid pressure. So basically, pag may confinement, nagkakaroon ng So basically, pag yung tubig mo, kinonfine mo, ibig sabihin wala siyang malabasan na ibang lugar. So confined siya, wala siyang malabasan, tapos nagdagdag ka pa ng pressure or ng load, lalaki yung pressure sa loob. Okay? So yun yung HP, no? Basically, yun yung additional pressure. Okay? Due to confinement tsaka sa bigat ng kung ano man yung nasa taas niya. Okay? So, ini-express na lang natin siya in terms of meters of hydraulic head. Okay, yun yung parang equivalent pressure niya. So, imagine niyo yung sa mga springs, no? Pag may spring ka, usually yung spring nangyayari lang yan pag meron kang confined aquifer. So, basically, yung aquifer mo ay confined, no? Tapos, dahil walang matakasan yung tubig sa loob ng aquifer, tapos may bigat pa sa taas niya, okay, yung bigat ng formation tsaka bigat ng iba't ibang material sa taas niya. Okay, yung parang kahit na sabihin mo ito yung parang tuktok ng water mo, o yung water table mo, once na tusukan mo siya ng well, sisirit yan pataas kasi mataas yung pressure. Okay? Kung ano man yung height na sinirit niya pataas, yun na yung tinatawag nating HP or pressure head. Okay? Tapos yung HZ is your elevation head due to gravitational energy. Okay, so basically ito yung normal mong hydraulic head. Okay? So piezometric level, applicable lang yan when you're talking about confined aquifers, no? Kasi normally, pag confined aquifers nga, meron kang additional pressure due to confinement. So usually mas mataas yung piezometric level mo compared sa actual water table. Okay? Dahil may pressure siya. Okay, so ito yung hydraulic head for confined aquifers, no? Normally, kung unconfined yan, meaning walang confinement, hindi mo na kailangan tong part na to. Okay? Ito lang yung kailangan mo, yung elevation head lang. Pero if you're talking about confined aquifers, okay, meron kang additional pressure due to confinement, no? So, you have to account for that. Okay, in practice, mahirap. Okay? Yung hydraulic head for confined aquifers, usually we use wells or piezometers to measure that. Okay? Okay, so basically yun yung sinabi ko kanina. Pressure head can be calculated from the pressure of the fluid or pore pressure, no? Or basically due to the overlying water column and any effects of confinement. So pressure head is basically just your HP. So basically it's just your P, or the pressure of the pore fluid, and then divide it by the density of the fluid and your acceleration due to gravity. Okay? So pag nasa site ka, pag na-measure mo yung pressure ng pore fluid mo, okay, if you can measure it, no, using piezometers, you can derive, no, the pressure head in terms of elevation by just dividing it by your density of the fluid and your acceleration due to gravity, no. Pero if you're low tech, no, kung medyo low tech tayo, you can just install a standpipe piezometer, or basically parang well lang siya na observation well. Then kung ano man yung height, kung ano man yung so meron kang confined aquifer, nagsuksok ka ng well, and definitely yung tubig tataas siya, no? So kung ano man yung height ng water na yon relative to the actual top of the aquifer, okay, kung ano man yung difference na inakit niya, yun na yung pressure head mo. Okay? Okay, so uh, clear? Okay, for example, we have so you have this sand aquifer, okay? And you have this overlying clay layer, okay? So ano ba to? Is this a confined or unconfined aquifer? Okay, so this is actually a confined aquifer kasi meron kang clay which has a very low permeability. Okay, sobrang baba ng permeability niya, kino-consider na siyang parang impervious layer or confining layer na siya. So meron kang well, okay? So kita mo dito, ito yung tuktok ng water table, or ito yung tuktok ng aquifer mo actually, no? Itong triangle na to. Pero nung nagsuksok ka ng well, umakyat siya sa level na to. Okay? And you measured it. Okay, so you measured the rise from the top of the aquifer to the actual water or the piezo level. Okay? You found out meron siyang 10 meters na angat. Okay? So, ganun kalaki yung pore pressure naman na nag-act sa top ng aquifer. Okay, so babalik na rin lang natin yung equation kanina, 'di ba? So, ito yung kanina equation, 'di ba? So, given naman so ito yung piezo level rise or HP. it's just equal to pressure, pressure divided by rho or your density, and then divided by, wait lang, tama ba tong equation ko? Oh, okay, times G pala, tama, tama. Saan na tayo? Dito, okay, balik tayo dyan. Okay, so i-rearrange lang natin yung equation. Ano yun? So let's just rearrange this one. Ang kailangan natin actually is the for pressure or P. P. So basically, let's just rearrange that. You'll get something like P pressure is equal to HP HP times rho divided by gravity G. Okay, so HP, so ano yung quantity na yan? So HP is 10, diba? 10. Then your unit weight of water is just, ano ba to? 1 ton per cubic meter. Okay, so 1. And then G is like 9.81 meters per second squared. Okay. So, paano yun? So, wait lang. Wait lang. Oh, wait lang. Parang may mali sa formula.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, dapat po nung ni-rearrange yung equation, dapat parang minultiply both sides by rho times G. So dapat parang for pressure is equals to HP times rho times G po.
Yeah, yun din iniisip ko eh. Pero, teka. Di ko kasi sure kung, teka, double check ko lang ah. Di ko kasi sure kung yung G is kasama siya ng rho or naka-times lang siya. So, double check natin ah. Wait lang. Wait. I mean, tama yung sinasabi mo if magkasama tong si Ro tsaka si G. Pero double check natin para sure. Okay, okay. So magkasama pala sila. Okay. Okay, so tama yung sinabi mo, ano pangalan mo? Sorry. Julius. Okay. So, actually, mali ko rin dito. Hindi ako naglagay ng bracket. Okay. I mean, parenthesis. Okay, kita na ba yung slide ulit? Wait.
Yes po, sir.
Okay, yun ito yung hinanap ko kanina. Okay. So apparently magkasama si Ro tsaka si G sa baba, no? So divisor sila. So ang mali ko dito kanina, hindi ko siya nilagyan ng parenthesis, no? So medyo nalito ako for a while. So tama, yung sinasabi ni Julius, pag minultiply mo itong both sides na to by rho times G, basically mapupunta lang sila dito sa kabila. Okay? So basically your pressure will be just P is equal to HP times your rho times your G. Okay? So pressure is just equal to your, so HP is just equal, it's just 10, and then rho is your it's just 1 ton per cubic meter, and then G is your 9.81. Okay? So lalabas, you are actually getting 98.1 kilopascals of total pressure, no? At this point, no? At this very point. Okay? Okay? So ang tanong dyan, yung pore pressure na nag-a-act dito sa bottom ng aquifer na yan, same ba yan dito sa tuktok ng aquifer? Okay? Parehas lang ba sila yung pore pressure na experience nila? Okay? So, take note na dito sa part na to, ang pore pressure mo lang is just due to this piezo level rise. Pero pagdating dito, meron kang piezo level rise dito, tas meron ka pang pore pressure exerted by this water column. Okay? So, ang sagot is no. Okay? So, sa tuktok ng aquifer, yung pressure mo is purely just due to the pressure head. Then sa bottom ng aquifer, meron kang pressure head, meron ka pang elevation head. Okay? Meron ka pang hydraulic head due to elevation. Okay. So, ganun lang siya kasimple. Okay, let's have another problem. This time you have basically a slope, no, na nag-fail. So again, this is a profile view. Ito yung failure surface mo. Okay? And meron kang perched aquifer, no, which is very common, no, sa mga slopes, no. Very common na may perched aquifer ka. Especially sa unstable slopes, common na meron kang clay. So let's say meron kang clay layer dito. So pag meron kang impervious layer sa ilalim ng slope mo, like clay or solid bedrock na hindi fractured, pwede siyang mag-perch, no, dito sa mismong slope. Okay? So, ano bang problema natin dito? Meron kang itong perched aquifer mo, medyo mataas yung water table height niya. It's around 20 meters height. No? Itong part na to. This is 20. And assume mo na this perched aquifer is an unconfined aquifer, no? So, wala siyang confinement. So, ano yung problem is gano'ng kalaki yung pore pressure nag-act dito sa failure surface mo. Okay? So, important yan sa geotech, no? Sorry. Important yan sa geotech kasi yung pore pressure sa bottom ng shear surface mo, inaangat niya yung slope. Okay? So, masama siya kasi yung mga soils mo tsaka mga rocks, yung strength niya is actually relying on their yung pagkagat nila sa isa't isa, no? Pag mas nakakagat sila sa isa't isa, mas malakas yung shear resistance nila sa sliding, no? So imagine niyo, I mean, pagka holding hands yung jowa nyo or whatever, 'di ba? Pag mas maigpit yung hawak nyo, mas mahirap siya bitawan, 'di ba? So, or pag loose yung hawak mo, madali siyang bumitaw. So ganun lang din sa slope, no? So, pag meron kang pore pressure na malakas diyan, humihina yung kagat ng soil or rock material sa isa't isa and bumababa yung shear resistance nila. Pag bumaba yung shear resistance nila, pwede silang mag-fail. Okay, so kaya important tong pore pressure acting on this failure surface. So paano natin kakalculate yan? So again, go back to that equation. Kailangan paulit natin tong si P, no? So basically, lilipat mo lang tong rho times G na yan dyan. So lalabas, HP is equal to, sorry. So lalabas, P is equal to HP times rho times G. Okay, parenthesis yan. So, any volunteers? Ano yung, malamang andyan na yung sagot eh. So, pressure is just equal to 20, no? 20 times your unit weight of water, which is 1 ton per cubic meter. And then G is your 9.81. So, ang makukuha mo is 196.4 kilopascals of pore pressure. Okay. 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 So, question, kung meron ka ditong confined, so sabihin natin, baguhin natin yung situation. Let's say meron kang clay dito. Okay? So, naging confined aquifer na itong aquifer na to. So, magiging same pa rin ba yung pore pressure mo na nag-act dito sa failure surface? Tingin nyo. Confined versus unconfined aquifer, same lang ba yung pore pressure dito? Okay? Actually, yung sagot dyan is, again, wait lang. So, explain ko lang ah. So, pag unconfined kasi, ang concern mo lang is just the height, no, of the water table, or basically the height of the difference in elevations, no. Yun lang yung problema mo pag unconfined. Kapag confined, problema mo itong difference ng water table plus yung pressure head, no. So, saan ba manggagaling yung pressure head mo? Basically, pag meron kang confinement plus meron kang dagdag na weight sa taas. Okay? So, the moment na meron kang impervious layer like clay plus meron kang pabigat sa taas. Okay? Meron kang pabigat sa taas, so napipipi yung aquifer mo, nagkakaroon ka ng additional pressure. So, ang sagot dyan is, again, no. No? Kasi, pag naging confined aquifer to, itong layer na to ay nagdadagdag actually ng additional pressure dito sa aquifer mo. Okay? So, mas mataas yung pressure kapag confined itong aquifer na naka-perch sa slope. Okay? So, isang common mistake yan, especially sa mga slope stability models. Nag-assume sila na unconfined yung aquifer mo. So, ang calculation nila sa pore pressure ay mababa. Okay? Okay, so again, meron kang bagong example naman. So, kanina, puro geotech yung problems natin. Ito naman is basically just water going from one point to another. So, ito yung water table natin. Meron kang dalawang well. And yung aquifer mo is unconfined. So, ang tanong dito, ano yung hydraulic head difference between the two water tables, no? So, itong point na to, tsaka anong point na to, ano yung hydraulic head difference? Okay? So, if it's just hydraulic head difference, basically, you just subtract, no? Just subtract their elevations, no? Just get the higher elevation, which is 250, subtract mo yung lower elevation, and you will get your value. Okay. Okay. So hydraulic gradient, basically isasama mo lang yung length, no? Yung length na part. No? So kanina pinag-usapan na natin yung hydraulic head difference. Itong delta H, yung L is just the length okay, length of the flow. Okay, so yung length ng flow niyan medyo confusing siya, no? Kasi sa hydrogeo, madalas sinisimplify natin yung problem as one-dimensional. For especially if you're using Darcy's law. Actually, mas more on 1D yung representation natin eh. Okay, so a few examples here. So wala naman talagang strictly horizontal groundwater flow, no? Madalas medyo oblique yung flow direction mo, no? Kasi nga ano siya eh, kumbaga yung groundwater naman yan nagfo-flow from a higher piezo level to a lower piezo level or higher water table to a lower water table. So yung flow mo actually is medyo inclined usually. Pag may mga certain cases naman na sobrang lakas ng vertical component ng flow, especially kung sa mga aquifer recharge areas, no? Basically, nag-infiltrate lang pababa yung tubig. Doon naman yung flow mo is almost purely vertical, no? Pababa lang siya. Kapag discharge naman, especially sa mga springs, no, medyo may upward component, no? Kasi sa springs nga, malakas yung pressure mo. Sa lakas ng pressure mo, kaya niyang sumirko sa mga obstacles, no? Para sumirit siya pataas. Applicable din yan sa mga dams, no? Sa mga dam, so dodrawing ko lang, let's say ito yung cross-section ng dam mo. Okay? Ito yung parang ito yung parang base ng stream or ng river. Shit. Eraser. Tapos let's say ito yung ano mo. Let's say ito yung water table ng reservoir, no? Or yung tubig na naka-impound niya. Okay? So sa case ng dams, minsan sobrang taas nitong pressure dito, no? Sobrang lakas ng pressure dito na yung tubig mo gusto lang niyang makatawid dito sa dam na to, no? Yung tubig, no? Gusto niya makatawid across this dam pero nakaharang tong dam na to. Plus meron ka pang usually mga barrier sa ilalim, no? Yung, minsan yung mga grout curtain or yeah, usually may mga additional cemented walls pa sa ilalim nito. So usually yung groundwater mo, gusto lang niya makatawid dito sa part na to. Pag sobrang lakas ng pressure, no, kaya niyang gumanon, no? Kaya niyang sumirko, no, sa ilalim ng dam pag sobrang lakas na ng pressure. Okay? And may mga cases actually na yung pressure mo, kaya niyang angatin yung dam. Okay, such that yung dam magro-rotate siya patalikod, no? Kasi sa lakas ng pressure. Okay? So, yun yung mga isa sa mga considerations, no, sa dam design. But I'm not gonna elaborate that any further. Okay. So, ito yung just a sketch of ground water flow directions. Okay, so ito dito sa part na to, sa may taas ng topo, medyo obliquely pababa. And then dito naman, medyo pag yung potential mo is just basically changing horizontally, okay? Yung flow mo rin will be horizontal. Okay, and then dito naman sobrang lakas na ng tulak ng pressure head galing dito sa likod. Okay? Pwedeng mag-flow pa rin pataas yung tubig, no? Kasi natutulak siya mula dito sa part na to. Okay? So, meron kang upward na flow dito sa part na to. Okay? Hydraulic conductivity or K. So, this is actually a combination of the property of your material. So, the medium plus your fluid. Okay? So, hydraulic conductivity, lagi siyang medium tsaka yung fluid. Sa ibang disciplines like petroleum engineering, yung fluid mo could be salt water or could be oil. So, nagbabago yung hydraulic conductivity for the same material. Ang laging constant, no, sa material is yung permeability. Okay? So, it's just purely about the property of the medium only. So, permeability is usually expressed in units of Darcy or meter squared or cm squared. Yung hydraulic conductivity is expressed in centimeters per second or meters per day, etc. Okay? So ito naman is just the relationship between your permeability and your hydraulic conductivity. No? So kailangan mo lang malaman yung kinematic viscosity ng fluid, no? And you can easily get your permeability. Okay? Pero sa course natin, hindi naman natin masyadong kailangan tong permeability, no? Ang important lang is yung hydraulic conductivity. Because you're mostly just dealing with water. Okay, hydraulic conductivity, varies in space, no? So, pwede siyang heterogeneous. So, for example, interbedded na sandstone, mudstone. Okay? So, iba yung K ng sandstone, iba yung K ng mudstone. So, SS yung sandstone, ZS yung mudstone. Or yeah, siltstone yata yung ZS, sorry. So, siltstone, sandstone. So, sa buong area na to, iba yung hydraulic conductivity nila, no? So, mas mababa yung hydraulic conductivity ng siltstone versus sa sandstone. So, heterogeneous yan. Yung anisotropy, I think na-encounter nyo na yung term na yan sa petro. Basically, pag nagpalit ka ng direction, nag-iiba rin yung property niya. So, dito sa case na to, actually anisotropic din yung interbedded na formation, no? Kasi kung yung tubig mo is just flowing in this direction, ano mangyayari dito? Basically, maghahati lang sila, no? May isang part ng tubig na mapupunta dito sa mabagal na siltstone. Meron namang isang part na mapupunta dito sa sandstone. Okay? So, maghahati lang sila ng 50-50, no? So, yung basically magiging hydraulic conductivity nila is just the average of these two formations. Pero, paano kapag yung flow mo is vertical naman? Okay? Ang mangyayari dito, pag vertical, yung tubig, wala siyang choice kung di mag-travel muna dito sa siltstone. Okay? Wala siyang choice. Kailangan niya i-traverse yung buong thickness ng siltstone bago siya makarating sa sandstone. Okay? So, ang mangyayari dyan actually is yung basically magiging average nila dito na hydraulic conductivity is what we call yung makukuha mo siya using the harmonic mean. Okay? Pag harmonic mean, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is yung usually yung harmonic mean ginagamit siya sa mga velocities, no? Kasi pag harmonic mean, ina-account mo yung time na sinispend niya sa bawat layer. Tsaka yung kung gaano kabagal yung layer na to. Tsaka dito. Okay? So generally, kapag yung flow mo is vertically or is across the bedding, usually mas mabagal yan compared sa flow na parallel sa bedding. Okay? Kasi pag across the bedding, kailangan yung tumawid sa pinakamabagal na layer bago sa makarating sa susunod na layer. Kapag across naman, basically maghahati lang sila, no? Magsi-split lang sila into so many flow paths. Okay? Okay, yun yung importance ng anisotropy, no? Effective porosity naman is basically yung importance ng interconnectedness ng pore spaces, no? So, may mga rocks na mataas yung porosity like vesiculated basalt, no? So, yung basalt para siya soft drinks, no? Marami siyang bubbles sa loob tapos pinatigas mo lang. So, yung bubbles na yun, typically hindi talaga connected, no? Hindi sila interconnected. So, walang bearing, no, yung porosity ng vesicles sa flow kasi hindi naman siya connected eh. Parang ano bang saan dadaan yung fluid doon? Hindi naman sila connected to each other. As compared to like a rock with faults or fractures or joints na connected yung porosity mo, no? So, marami silang madadaanan, no? Or at least makakadaan-daan sila sa mga pore spaces ng bato mo. Okay, these are just hydraulic conductivity values. Ang bottom line lang dito actually or pinaka-important na malaman nyo is itong exponents na to. Okay? So at least tignan mo yung clean sand, no, versus fine, let's see. Ito yung boundary ng sand tsaka silt, no? So pag meron kang sand tsaka meron kang silt, or let's say meron kang silty sand versus clean sand, no? So the hydraulic conductivity value of your clean sand, no, can be anywhere between 1,000 meters per day to 10 meters per day. And then your silty sand can be anywhere between point 0.1 to um, 0.0001 meters per day. Okay, so sobrang laki ng jump, no, in the value. So laging exponential yan per grain size change. So may imagine nyo na lang yung calculations mo sa hydro-geo kapag mali yung ID mo ng material. Okay? So magkamali ka lang sa identification, pwedeng malaking mali na yung mangyayari dito sa values mo. Okay? So, anong ginagawa natin? In practice talaga, last resort na tong table na to, no? In practice, when you're like doing some well studies, well design, ang important is yung in situ, no, or on-site measurements of the permeability or the hydraulic conductivity of the aquifer or the media. Okay, sobrang important yung in situ kasi sobrang laki ng errors na pwede mong makuha, no, by using or by making assumptions on the properties of the material. Okay. Steps and calculations of groundwater flow. So, ano ba yung factors na kailangan natin consider, no, when we're calculating groundwater flow? So, minsan yung aquifer mo, nagva-vary yung hydraulic conditions, no? So, pwede mag-vary siya with location and time. So, for example, so pwedeng yung aquifer mo kasi pwedeng system siya ng confined tsaka unconfined, no? So, in that case, pwedeng magbago ah, yung mga hydraulic head natin with area. Yung time naman, pwedeng meron ka kasing kailangan pa magkakaroon ng time varying flow. Um, Usually yung time varying flow, nangyayari lang yan kapag kunyari nagpa-pump ka ng tubig, no? So usually pag start naman ng pumping mo naman, kunyari may warm up time pa yan eh. So pwedeng sa simula mahina pa yung pumping rate mo hanggang sa tumaas na yung pumping rate mo. So magbabago rin yung hydraulic conditions mo diyan. Okay? Other things that can vary is yung cross-sectional area ng aquifer, no? So pwedeng magbago naman 'yan. Okay. Sa unconfined aquifers, pwedeng nagbabago yung cross-sectional area ng aquifer. Bakit? Kasi 'di ba, pag yung aquifer mo is unconfined, parang ganito siya, 'di ba? Habang nagpa-pump ka diyan ng tubig, bababa rin yung water table. Okay? So, yung cross-sectional area mo nung simula, iba na siya sa cross-sectional area mo after a certain period of time, no? For unconfined. Okay? Pag confined naman, usually, pag confined aquifer, parang ganito siya. So, meron kang water top ng aquifer dito. Due to confinement, no, tsaka due to pressure, no, kahit mag-extract ka ng tubig sa confined aquifer, kumbaga may buffer pa yan, no? Kasi sa kaka-extract mo ng water, pwedeng hindi pa siya magbago ng area kasi sa lakas ng pressure niya, okay, kumbaga kaya pa ng aquifer na mag-hold intact, no? And hindi magbabago yung actual na water level niya dito sa taas. Okay? Pero kung sobrang lakas ng extraction mo, of course, eventually babagsak din yung parang water table ng confined aquifer. And doon na magkakaroon ng tinatawag nating mga subsidence. Okay? But anyway, generally, pag confined aquifer, usually constant lang. Pag unconfined, usually hindi constant yung cross-sectional area. Pag confined, generally, pwedeng constant lang yung cross-sectional area niya kasi um, dahil sa confinement. Okay? Steady state conditions, ibig sabihin lang yan is hindi nagbabago yung hydraulic head tsaka hydraulic gradient through time. Okay? So, pwede siya mangyari sa confined tsaka unconfined conditions. So, pag malaking-malaki yung aquifer mo, no? Usually, pag sobrang laki ng aquifer mo, kahit mag-pump out ka ng tubig sa kanya, pwedeng hindi masyadong magbago yung hydraulic head niya, no? Kasi sobrang laki ng area niya. Parang negligible lang yung hydraulic head changes. Usually, hindi ito nasa-satisfy kapag meron kang sobrang lakas na pumping rate, no? May nagpa-pump ka ng sobrang lakas na to the point na nagbabago na yung water table or piezometric level ng aquifer. Quasi-steady state naman is, yun nga, quasi-steady state, ito kumbaga yung ginagawa nating assumption, no, sa mga, usually sa mga testing natin, kapag malaki naman yung aquifer and maliit lang naman yung pumping rate, we just assume na steady state siya kahit hindi talaga kasi pwedeng maliit lang naman talaga yung hydraulic head changes, no. So ginagawa natin tong quasi-steady state assumption para mapadali yung calculations natin sa hydro. So yung transient naman or unsteady state, ito yung mga nagbabago yung hydraulic head and yung gradient through time. So yun nga, ang example niyan is meron kang maliit na aquifer plus meron kang malakas na pumping rate, no? So sa lakas ng pumping rate mo, pababa ng pababa kunyari yung piezo level or yung water table level. So as consequence, nagbabago rin yung hydraulic gradient mo. Okay? Transmissivity of porous media. So this is an important parameter for well design. Basically, it's just the hydraulic conductivity times the thickness of the aquifer. Okay? So, madalas siyang ginagamit kasi i-multiply mo lang yung transmissivity by the area well of influence. Madaling mo nang makukuha yung well yield, no? So, for example, meron kang So, tayo natin i-drawing ng 3D, no? So, kunyari, ito yung So, medyo 3D representation to. Let's say ito yung well mo, no? Ito yung well. Tapos itong bilog na to, ito yung parang influence, area of influence ng well mo. Kumbaga yun yung area ng aquifer or water table na nakukuha naman ng tubig. And then let's say ito yung thickness ng aquifer. Okay, so para siyang donut, no? So ito yung thickness ng aquifer, that's B. Tapos yung property ng aquifer is your hydraulic conductivity K. Okay? So basta alam mo yung area of influence nitong aquifer na to, which is this one, tsaka yung transmissivity ng aquifer, which is T. So you can just multiply transmissivity by the area plus some adjustment factors. Madali mo na ma-calculate itong tubig na makukuha mo sa 3D space na to. Okay? So hindi yung tinatawag nating well yield, no? Okay? So kumagay na yung capacity ng well to provide water. Okay? So pag mas makapal yung aquifer, definitely mas mataas yung transmissivity, or pag mas mataas yung hydraulic conductivity, mataas din yung transmissivity niya. Okay? And transmissivity, normally, nakukuha mo lang siya sa pumping test or on-site testing, no? So sa pumping test, basically, nagpa-pump out ka ng tubig sa aquifer and then mini-measure mo yung response niya para ma-measure mo yung hydraulic properties ng ating aquifer. Wait lang ah. Ang slides pa ba tayo? Oh, saan ba? Shit. Okay, so jump tayo dito sa tinatawag nating theme equation, no? So theme equation, ito yung ginagawa natin kapag medyo marami tayong budget or well-studied yung area, no? So ibig sabihin marami kang well data or marami kang well drilling na ginawa. So ginagamit siya sa steady state flow, no, or quasi steady state. So applicable siya basta masasatisfy mo tong conditions na to. So dapat yung pumping well mo is actually fully penetrating the aquifer. So ang itsura niyan, kung ito yung aquifer mo, nagpe-penetrate dapat yung well sa buong thickness niya. And then dapat confined din yung aquifer mo. Okay, so meron kang clay sa taas. And ito is also impermeable sa baba. And wala ka dapat vertical recharge from adjacent aquifers or aquitards. No? So wala ka dapat aquifer na connected dito sa aquifer na to. So we can actually estimate yung transmissivity ng aquifer na to basta meron kang drawdown measurements or basically yung measurements ng pagbaba ng water ng piezo level mo kasi confined aquifer to from at least 3 well. Okay? So kailangan mo dito ng data ng drawdown measurements from 3 wells. Okay? So ito lang yung equation niya, no? So basically yung pumping rate or discharge or Q, tumataas siya kapag mataas yung transmissivity ng aquifer. So basically niya, mas malakas yung capacity ng aquifer to transmit water, mas malakas yung pumping rate. Ano pa bang ano dito? SW, yung drawdown. So mas malaking, pag marami kang kinuhang tubig sa aquifer mo, malaki din yung drawdown mo or malaki yung pagbaba ng water table or piezo level na mangyayari. Okay? So conversely, kapag meron kang aquifer na mataas yung transmissivity and same lang yung discharge mo. So let's say meron kang dalawang aquifer, no, na same lang yung pumping rate mo. Same lang lahat. Pag meron kang aquifer na malakas yung transmissivity, konting drawdown lang yung kailangan mo para makapag-pump out ng tubig. Okay? Conversely, pag meron kang aquifer na mababa yung transmissivity, maraming drawdown yung kailangan maganap bago ka makapag-extract ng tubig. Okay? Ano pa ba? Radius of influence, generally kapag mataas yung transmissivity mo, usually mababa lang yung radius of influence mo kasi kumbaga sa taba ng aquifer mo or sa lusog niya, kahit magpump ng tubig dyan, maliit na area lang yung naapektuhan sa aquifer mo, no? Kasi marami siyang tubig. As opposed sa isang aquifer na mababa yung transmissivity, kumbaga manipis, konting higop lang ng tubig, kumbaga naubo, nangangayayat na siya agad. No? So malaking area yung may impluwensyahan ng drawdown. Okay? So ganun lang yung relationship, no, sa theme equation, no. So ito naman yung mas simple, si Thies equation. Ginagamit siya sa single well data. So again, kailangan mo dito ng transient groundwater flow, fully penetrating well, tsaka confined aquifer. Okay? From this equation, pwede mo makalculate yung well yield, yung drawdown, yung transmissivity, tsaka storage coefficient. Okay? So ang advantage nitong equation na to is kaya niya mag-work under transient conditions. Okay? So ibig sabihin, pwede mo siyang gamitin kahit yung water table or piezo level nagfa-fluctuate, no? So hindi mo na kailangan magkaroon ng drawdown stabilization. So bakit importante 'yan? Yung drawdown stabilization, usually makukuha mo lang 'yan, kumbaga magsa-stabilize yung water level. Kasi anong nangyayari kasi pag nagpa-pump ka ng tubig palabas sa aquifer, syempre pwedeng magkaroon siya ng fluctuation ng water table. Okay? Or piezo level. Yun yung tinatawag nating non-stable, no, na drawdown kasi pagalaw-galaw siya. So, usually para ma-stabilize mo tong drawdown, kailangan mo mag-pump ng matagal. Okay? So, pag nag-pump ka ng matagal, ibig sabihin niya, nag-aaksaya ka ng tubig, makonsumo din siya sa manpowers tsaka sa equipment. Okay? So, so yun nga, since sa this equation, hindi mo kailangan ng drawdown stabilization, mas matipid siya gamitin. I mean, kahit medyo pangit pa yung data, kahit hindi pa stable yung drawdown mo, pwede mo na makalculate yung properties ng aquifer mo. Okay? And another advantage of the this equation is isang observation well lang yung kailangan mo. Okay? So, naturally, it's really one of the most popular methods, no, for pumping test analysis. Okay? So, basically, this is the equation for the Thies equation. No? So, S is your, ano ba to? S, I think that's your, oh God. Balikan ko na lang kayo dito. Okay, draw down. Okay, so dito sa Thies equation na to, ito yung form niya, no? Draw down S, okay, is proportional to the discharge. No? So, pag marami kang drawdown, marami ka ring discharge. Okay? Conversely, kapag konti lang yung drawdown mo, usually mataas yung transmissivity mo. Okay? So, meron kang W function of U. Yan yung tinatawag nating well function or Thies function. Okay, so itong W na yan, siya basically yung parang value na nagre-represent sa aquifer conditions. So, ang madugo lang dito sa Thies equation actually is marami kang systems of equations na gagamitin. Okay? So, ito yung unang equation na gagamitin natin. So, so before natin magamit to, kailangan nating masolve tong WU na function, which is discussed on the next slide. Ay, hindi pa pala. Okay? So, usually yung W, determine mo yan using what we call these type curves, no? Na which involve overlaying the these curves over the well drawdown time plot to get a match. Okay, so basically, pinaplot mo lang yung drawdown, yung basically yung pagbagsak ng water level versus time. Tapos hahanapan mo siya ng curve na magmamatch dun sa plot na yun. And you can get a W value. Okay? Okay, and then this type curve is a log-log graph of W versus 1 over U and just used to match data observed in data wells. Okay? So, Okay? So pointers for T-curve matching, no, dapat yung drawdown time data mo is in units of log versus log, no? So dapat log yung plot mo. Okay? And then usually yung units mo is meters versus minutes. So meters versus minutes, unless of course specified siya sa problem. And then yung scale mo dapat should have dapat same scale lang na siya, no? So 1 meter, 1 to 10 meters, tapos 1 to 10 minutes, dapat same lang sila ng ng size sa plot mo. And then gagalaw-galawin mo lang yung T-curve overlay hanggang makita mo yung type curve na saswak sa data plot mo. Kapag nakakuha ka na ng match or ng curve match, mababasa mo na itong 4 values na yun from that match, no? So makukuha mo yung W, yung 1 over U, tsaka S drawdown, tsaka S time. Okay? Okay, so kunyari ito yung data natin, no? Ito yung field data natin from the pumping test. So ito yung time, ito yung drawdown. Okay? So makikita mo dyan, no? So obviously, no, yung drawdown ng well mo, syempre pababa ng pababa yun habang nagpa-pump ka ng tubig, di ba? Pababa ng pababa yung water table mo. So palaki ng palaki yung drawdown. Okay? So ito yung itsura niya, no? So, over time, no? Okay? So note this is a log-log graph, no? So note mo dito, fudge. So log-log siya, no? So this is 10, this is 1, this is point 1. This is 1, this is 10, this is 100, no? So pansinin nyo, isang interval ng 1 to 10 or 0.0 to 1, same lang sila ng dimensions. Okay? So importante yan sa log-log na graph ng data. Okay? So ito naman yung tinatawag nating this field graph, no, or this curve. Yeah. So okay, so pag nakakuha ka na ng curve match, no? So usually itong graph na to maraming curves yan, no? Maraming iba-ibang curves yan. So kailangan mo lang hanapin yung curve na saswak dito sa graph natin. So pag napaglapat mo na sila, kukuha ka lang ng kahit anong point dito, no? Kahit anong point actually pwede. So kuha ka lang ng kahit anong point dyan. Pwede dito actually, or dito, kahit saan. Pero sa case natin, dito yung match point natin. So from that match point, babasahin mo lang yung mga values na tumapat dyan. So meron kang W. So W is equal to 1. Ito yun eh. Ayun o. Chok. Drawdown S is equal to, ano ba to? Drawdown S is, nakakalito siya, no? Pero 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think that's 8 ba to? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's I think is 0.4, no? So pwede mong kunin tong length na to, no? Tas sukatin mo lang dito sa part na to. Okay? So this I think is around 0.4, no, sa log scale. Okay? Ano pa ba? 1 over U So dito siya, no? 1 over u is just equal to 100. And then time t is equal to... Shit, ang hirap, no? Pero this is approximately 20. Okay? So again, just measure this part, no? Ito yung mini-measure natin na part na to. Iilapat mo lang sa scale na to, you will get something like 20. Okay? Okay? So, yan yung parameters natin. Check natin kung tama. So, 1.4, 120. Okay? So, tama. So, W is 1, S is 0.4, 0.41, T is 20 minutes, 1 over U is 100. So, more or less, pwede na yan, no? Sa HydroGeo naman, hindi naman kailangan sobrang precise, no? Actually, sa HydroGeo, ang kailangan mo, tama yung decimal places mo, no? Kasi, as you can see nga, sobrang nagpa-fluctuate yung values mo. Basta nasa tamang order of magnitude yung values mo, okay na yun. Okay? So, pag nakuha mo na yung mga values na yan from your match point, isasaksak mo na lang siya dun sa mga equations ng T's equation. Okay? So, pwede mo na mag-obtain si transmissivity by just plugging in your W, your S, and the pumping rate, no? Na alam mo naman yan dapat kasi ikaw yung gumagawa ng test eh. Usually, alam mo yan, no? Kung gano'ng kalaki yung pumping rate ng equipment ng test na ginawa mo. S is, I think, your storage. Sorry, nasira kasi yung PowerPoint eh. I think that's your storage. Sino ba yan? Storage coefficient, yung big S. So, S is your storage coefficient. So, isasaksak mo lang yung transmissivity from the first equation, tsaka yung time, tsaka yung U, tsaka yung R squared, no? Or basically the size of the well. Okay, so may mga software din naman na ginagamit to do that. Pero yun nga, ang wisdom nun sa grad school is kung hindi mo kayang isolve no, by hand or by Excel yung values na kailangan mo, paano mo siya ma-check no, pag ginamit mo na yung program? Okay? So you can always do programs, models, pero at the end of the day, kailangan mong ma-make sure na nasa tamang ballpark yung values mo. Okay? Kasi sobrang common yan actually sa totoong buhay or sa professional world. Madali lang actually gumawa ng model, madaling gumawa ng values. Kasi usually pag nag-work ka na naman, yung software nasa sa'yo na, yung training, bibigyan ka na rin ng training para gamitin yung software. Ang kailangan mo na lang is ma-make sure na tama yung ginagawa mo. Okay? Ayun nga. Again, sa hydrogeology, simple mistakes can easily result in a huge error, no? Minimum 10 times na error. Okay? Okay, so that concludes the lecture for today. And I think hindi ko kayo mamimit sa Sabado. So this concludes the lectures for this week. So basically, ang activity nyo na lang na remaining for this week is just answer the quiz, no? Tsaka just continue working on exercise 1. Then for the module exam, I think hinanda ko na yung module exam. So madali lang yung module exam actually. Pwede nyo siyang sagutan ng nakapikit. Okay? Pero yung exercises pagbutihin nyo kasi yun naman talaga yung kailangan yung matutunan. No? Okay, so far, any questions?
Sir
Sir,
po sa akin.
online naman po yung module exam, di ba po, sir?
Online siya. Tsaka
Sige po.
buong week nyo siya pwedeng sagutan. Okay?
Sige
Tsaka
po,
pwede
sir.
nyo
Thank
siyang
you po.
sagutan kahit saan. Okay. Okay, so I hope may natutunan kayo sa lecture, no? Kasi kung wala, malulungkot ako. So kung wala nang tanong, I think that ends this session. Thanks for listening. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So
Ingat
yeah,
po.
I'm gonna end this Zoom session.